Hello everyone, this is Shadrach ASMR with another edition of Film Thoughts. In this one, I'm going to talk about documentaries. I must say that the best part about the documentaries would have to be the interviews. And I'm not talking about interviews with the experts or individuals that are, how should I say, the historians or anything like that, or the scientists. I'm actually talking about, I'm actually referring to the interviews of the people who are actually there. And whenever someone speaks and they tell you a story about their experiences, it is perhaps the most beautiful thing that anyone could listen to. Because it's not just an expert giving their opinion, it was someone who was there. An actual person that's there that says, I was there and this is what happened and this is what went down. That is perhaps the best part of the documentary. There's a YouTuber that I really like watching named David Hoffman. I just started watching his videos and I really like some of the videos he's created. The very first video I watched was of an old lady describing her life in 1900. Now bear in mind this was the video itself, the interview was made in 1970. And this old lady was basically telling, about her life and everything, pertaining to when she was, growing up. At a time when there were no automobiles, and what it was like to have the first telephone installed in town. Things like that. And there's this other video that I really like watching on that channel. I've watched it again and again, and I really wish I had the full interview. It was basically, and this was the second video I saw on David Hoffman's channel, was about this guy over in Vietnam. The video was made in 1990 and was part of a documentary series. And the guy basically explained his life story. I mean, not his life story, but what he was doing over in Vietnam and his expectations versus the reality. And it's only 15 minutes long, and I really wish I could hear the whole thing. It's very good. In fact, if you want to watch these two videos, I've got them down below. Very good videos. And I must say that they're very interesting to watch. In fact, one of the reasons I started Film Thought was so that people could hear my opinion on the matter about films and videos and television shows, so forth and so on. Not that anyone's going to ever watch these videos, but they'll be here as a video archive, if nothing else, in the hopes that somebody will listen to what I had to say. I wish I had all the time in the world to hear everybody's life story. I would love to sit down and just listen to what people have to say. Sadly, these life stories will never be recorded. And as I make this video, millions of people around the world are dying or have died. And what's worse is I've never had a chance to hear that person's life story. I never had a chance to hear something extraordinary that they did. That's the thing. Because we're all observing history as it unfolds right now. Now, I know a lot of us were upset with Trump, and some of us were happy with Trump, and some of us are happy with Biden, and people are upset with Biden already. But I'm going to say this. Although I am not, I'm going to say this a little political thing. I'm not going to get into politics, but I will say this. I'm actually happy to see that for the first time in our history, we have a female vice president. Now, I disagree with this. I disagree with Kamala Harris on a political standpoint, but I'm very proud to know that for the first time in history, we have a lady occupying the number 2 office in the United States, and I'm very proud of that fact. Imagine telling your grandkids that this was the year that we first had a lady as vice president. And that is something right there that is historical. But on the topic of documentaries and interviews, I would love to hear. In fact, I love hearing people's life stories about what they saw and what they experienced over there. People that survive, wars, natural disasters, people that were explaining their life story. I often ponder what it's going to be like 50 years down the line when the children of this generation are up in age and they're explaining to a future filmmaker about what life was like during the COVID pandemic. Imagine the things that people are going to discuss when that goes down, when they start making documentaries about the COVID-19 pandemic told by the people who live there. Imagine you're going to hear people are going to be given stories about how the entire world basically had shut down, how businesses had to shut down, how schools started doing remote learning, and how people were wearing masks, and how some idiots out there didn't care to wear masks. And then there'll be some that'll defend the actions of Trump, and some that'll criticize the actions of Trump depending on their upbringing. And then there's some that'll criticize Biden's actions again versus those that deal with Biden's. They'll be praising Biden. Some will praise Biden, some will criticize Biden. It doesn't matter to me. It's just that there's a lot to be said about this. But anyways, I must say, the interviews about COVID-19 are bound to be interesting. The same could be said for what happened on January 6th. Some will call it a protest, others will call it a riot. Depends on their upbringing. But in closing, I would love to hear the life stories of these people. In fact, I'm going to go one step further and say, for those of you who watch this video, and there's something from your life you want to write about, post it below. I would love to hear what everyone has to say. Now, I'm not one to delete comments, but if anyone starts posting things that are irrelevant or in the sense of being foolish or off topic, or something that's just utterly ridiculous in the way of spam, I will delete that comment. This video is strictly for people to get their life stories out. And be serious. I'm tired of people who think that they can just post, you know, the most idiotic things. Like, for example, saying, sardines! Or some other garbage. Like, get girls here, duh. Ugh. Those are the comments that I'm going to be deleting. But if you have a life story you want to give, I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear it. The comment section is open.